Hello, Remy. Welcome to this
Felipe.
conversation.
Delighted to be here.
Some 2-3 months ago, I had a treatment from you in Osaka. I really enjoyed the treatment. It gave me a lot. And I was happy to connect again to the Rolfing work.
Yeah, I was very delighted to have met you. I always enjoy meeting people from different stripes.
Yeah. And I had Rolfing long time ago. I did 10 sessions. I think you call it like that, huh? The 10
Yeah,
sessions.
we typically say that a 10 series.
And that did a lot. Unfortunately, Osaka is a little bit far to come for 10 sessions.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
But maybe I find one of your colleagues here in Fukuoka. Because I
Yeah.
like to receive treatments from different modalities. I'm passionate about bodywork, manual therapy, and myself being a shiatsu practitioner, I enjoy to learn also from other modalities.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are in the same field and generally speaking, receive a lot of body work because we need body work to kind of balance that sheet. For every hour or every 10 sessions we give, we're supposed to receive one session, which is a great opportunity for us to kind of connect with each other, intermingle, and learn from each other. So that's one. I used to work in a spa long ago, and one of the things I miss about working in an environment where I see 5 or 6 other touch therapists every day is that kind of fellowship, that regular fellowship, getting to communicate and saying, oh, my shoulder hurts today. Is there anything you can, do for it? And kind of learning from each other in that really organic way is one little point I miss after I did private practice. It just didn't really happen as often.
Yeah, that's true. And in the West, now we are in Japan, but it's very much influenced about the West. It's very hidden somehow. It's like one-on-one we do. I have the experience, one time I studied 6 months in Thailand, and there we were working in a big room, and we were like 10 practitioners, and there was no separation. It was like one big room, and
Yeah.
people came in, and according to the severity of the complaints, they got assigned one of the practitioners there. The most experienced practitioner was an old lady sitting completely at the end of the practice room, and she was taking the people who came in a wheelchair or whatever, and her hands were completely deformed because of the long work, many years of practice. But she did miracles with her hands still. It was a nice experience.
Yeah, I'm curious if that's some combination of arthritis or just that's one fear of mine is making sure that I don't damage myself in the long term. So one thing I learned in school was, use these as much as you can. Like in every opportunity where you have the ability to use your ulnar blade, or that you can use your elbow, or that you can use anything other than individual fingers, use those, because you can seriously hurt yourself. But wow, that's really amazing to hear somebody has, kind of gnarled fingers, but is still working and still, performing really, really well in the field. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think for her it was arthritis. It was really very
I
old
see.
person, and I must tell, after I had been there several months, and she had observed me working, because I was still learning also their way of working. A lot of abdominal work I learned there. And after some months, she said, "Okay, now you give me treatment." And that was such an honor somehow to work with someone. Yeah, so confirmation that, okay, maybe I'm not doing so bad. And she let me touch her. So yeah, it was nice to be able to arrive there in the morning, eat breakfast together, really like a community. And even someone was reading the newspaper, someone eating breakfast or eating a snack. Really, that it
Yeah.
becomes like a part of life somehow. It's part of the rest of life. It's not
Mm.
something hidden you do, treatments.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's something I think a lot of us really have a longing for. I know, especially as a Rolfer in Japan, um, we are basically ambassadors. So anytime I meet somebody who already knows what Rolfing is or has already experienced it, it's always really just positive, kind of positive vibes. It's like, oh, okay, I don't have to give a 15-minute or a 20-minute primer on what the heck I do. I can just start having a conversation with somebody and maybe comparing notes and trying to grow and learn from each other. It's one thing I know we're as a family, everybody in my family is a Rolfer, basically. My father-in-law, mother-in-law, my partner, and myself. And we're trying to potentially in the future build, something of a school or
Mm.
of a community center so that we can do just exactly what you're describing. Not just classrooms, but having people be able to come in and have fellowship with each other, share, compare notes, have conversation, really try to build a community. And hopefully it works out. We'll see in the next, 3 or 4 years. And in
Mm.
Atami, it's right off the Shinkansen, only an hour or so from Tokyo. So we're really hoping that we can kind of get people to come together and really start sharing.
Mm. Well, I've been in Atami once. It's a very beautiful place. It's not that
Yeah.
far from Mount Fuji, if I remember right. Huh?
Yeah,
Eh,
if you go up north about an hour and change, you'll get some
mm.
really beautiful sight. I mean, probably about a half hour from North Atami, you could get a glimpse
Mm.
of Fuji from the main road.
Mm.
If the weather's clear, all it takes is one big cloud, and you won't be able to see anything.
Yeah, and it's easy to access. Huh? It's with the Shinkansen, like you said, it's
Yeah,
very easy. Not that far from Tokyo, and
yeah.
actually even from Kyoto, it's
Yeah, I
easy
mean,
to get there.
Kyoto's a bit further. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyoto's a bit further. If you take a car, it takes about 5 hours to go from
Okay,
Osaka,
five
where I
hours.
am. Yeah.
Okay.
I think depending on the speed, as you know, the Shinkansen here, the bullet trains travel at various speeds. Some of them stop at every stop along the
Mm.
way, and then some of them are just straight shots to the main stations. But depending on the speed of the train you take, I think you can get to Arandatami in about 3 hours.
Okay.
Um, maybe faster. Nozomi, I think, is the fastest one, but
Mm.
I haven't actually ridden on a bullet train more than once, and I've been out here for 7 years. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm. It's a
Um,
nice experience. But yeah, keep us posted about your plans about core center and you're moving also. Eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Mm.
just I wanted to remark on that because you brought it up in the beginning. I am moving to Shizuoka, but I am still taking clients in Osaka.
Okay. Ah, that's
The yeah,
good.
the office that I have is still going to be here, and I will still be able to come back from Shizuoka. Usually I will plan and post either on Instagram or in a way that my other clients can see and contact me. But
Mm.
I do plan to still come back to Osaka. I have friends here. My clinic that I go to for healthcare is here, so I'm coming back. Uh, I have a couple of 10 series that I'm working on right now, and I'm not going to just abandon my clients. So, uh, yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see me post when I'm going to be here.
Okay. Yeah, we can put it in the show notes, a link in the show
Thank you very
notes.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about that you are an ambassador for Rolfing. I feel very
Yeah.
much ambassador for Shiatsu. The disadvantage here is that people have an idea about Shiatsu, who is like that it's mostly the harder the better, and that it's a very mechanical way of working. So I try to change that view and to change the view so that it's not only for old people, because that's often the misconception people have
Yeah.
here. Mm.
Yeah. My general, we learned a little bit about shiatsu in my vocational school for massage therapy ages ago, I think 16 years ago. And what I recall was heavy pinpointed pressure in very specific places and no table, no massage like cushion space, but using like a mat and using the leverage of the body uh to kind of contact and impact the muscles. That is all I remember from my school days. Maybe maybe some points of that are incorrect, or if you could maybe be an ambassador to me for a second, tell me just a teensy bit about
Yeah.
what I might be misconceiving.
So, or shiatsu, we have, I think it's very important to have all the levels of depth that you
Mhm.
work with. So it can be very light touch, that it's barely touching, or sometime occasionally off the body, just to send the heat or the cold around the
Mhm.
body. And then the touch can be very light. It depends on which level you work. And yeah, of course, I have integrated other modalities into my shiatsu. And I don't call it any longer shiatsu because um, it's so wide that it's not correct to just call it shiatsu anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid.
Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
like a fusion. How do you call it in English? Eclectic somehow.
I think you
Hmm?
could go with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to pull out a dictionary to make sure for sure, but um
Yeah, I did an exam with American Organization of Bodywork Therapies of Asia,
mhm.
and afterward they gave me the how do you call it, stamp or somehow
Yeah,
that
stamp
I'm
of approval.
eclectic shiatsu, they call it. So,
I see, I see. Interesting. Yeah.
so,
It's one interesting and one thing about rolfing that I find really amazing is that so long as you're using whatever tools, whatever skills, whatever things that you've learned to uh, affect the body in the 10 series, like the path of the 10 series, it doesn't really matter what tools you use as long as you're targeting the spaces, you're looking at the body from a like a rolfer's perspective. I feel like it all still falls into line with the rolfing, with the concept of rolfing. So I love being able to learn new techniques and new skills. And I would imagine that depending on who your teacher was in your third phase at the Rolf Institute, you will have a very, very uh, different form of touch, and you'll have skills and tools in your toolbox that are wildly varied depending on who you studied under. So
mm,
I know my partner. I showed her. We had different third phase teachers, and I showed her some of the techniques that I had learned, and she showed me some that she had learned, and we were both kind of like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Kind of, just comparing notes. But even though we were both learning in the same program, we learned some very different tools based on the teachers we had.
mm. Yeah, I think it's because it's very, from what I know about Rolfing, And I have some books here that I have been studying in the
Oh,
last 30 years. It's already my second one. The first one was falling apart. So,
I see.
but I'm very curious about the 10 sessions you have. So
Mhm.
in this book, I found some description about the 10 sessions. And I like very much some books about some Rolfers who have a very deep insight. So, and also when I read the books from Ida Rolf,
Mhm.
it's so rich, and I can imagine what you say that you can easily integrate different techniques into the system and into the way of looking. So it's a very open system, as I understand it.
Yeah. And uh one you mentioned before, misconceptions about shiatsu as being this really, heavy pressure. It's something that is a common misconception in rolfing as well. You have these old movies or these old videos of videotapes of Ida Rolf, uh just beating the crap out of some of these clients that she's working on, just wailing on them and doing just a lot of pressure to get the effect that she wanted. And one thing that I think is really amazing is over time, it's been tweaked and modified. There are still rolfers out there that practice the more heavy-handed style of rolfing, which is totally valid and completely fine. Um, One thing that we learned though is that you don't need to do that in order to get the effect, um, or that kind of each rolfer needs to figure out their own style and and follow what works. Find a thing uh, that really gets the effect that you're looking for, and try it again and remember, and try it again and remember, and really tweak and modify your own system. So my touch is typically very light, but that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. So I love working on somebody, and uh, they're um, they're engaged in the work. Of course, rolfing, we're asking you to take deep breaths. We're asking you to breathe into your side space, breathe into where you feel my contact, or, move your middle finger down towards your feet, just 2 millimeters. And while we're doing all of this interaction, we're we're holding space and contacting in a very particular way to get the effect that we want, to get the change that we want to see. And then having a person get off the table and feel like they didn't get wailed on, or that they didn't get beat up and are going to be sore, but also feeling profound change. The for session one, the first hour, is one of my favorite things to do, is watch somebody take a deep breath after they get off the table and compare that to when they took a deep breath before they got on the table. And, that 20%, 30% increase of a sense of volume of breath that you can take is just so profound. It's just delighting as a practitioner.
I can attest that because when I received the treatment from you, you asked me to look inside to the left and the right, and to also go to the place you were working and imagining the fingers getting long. And yeah, it was amazing journey. And I felt the effect. It's still with me now, what you did. So
I'm delighted to hear that.
yeah. So I also very much I am very much into the light touch, but sometimes on occasion, sometimes I need to move things,
Yeah.
and then it's good to have it in the toolbox to really
Mm,
go for the deeper approach, and
sure.
sometimes painful approach also.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like I say, my touch is light, but subscapularis, the muscle that is underneath of your shoulder blade, there is no light way to get there.
Wow.
There is no soft touch that's going to get direct contact with subscapularis. So sometimes you have to go deep, and there's really no other option. Um, yeah, some of the places we work on that are deep, like the psoas, for
Mm.
example, you're not going to get to the psoas um, directly without contacting very, very deeply. So yeah, of course, it's important to have these, these deep tools in our toolboxes.
Mm.
Um, but it's like that, what's that adage? When the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. As a person who practiced massage therapy for a long time, I can attest that the less tools you have, the less varied and dynamic your touch therapy will tend to be. So as a deep tissue practitioner, who I had deep tissue and I had Swedish, two very wildly different forms of touch. Um, I was not able to help as many people as I can now because
Mm.
of the lack of tools in my toolbox.
Of course. And yeah, it's good to have the gradations. I'm very much convinced of that. Mm. Yeah. And it's also an evolution as practitioner, that learning the techniques that we are less comfortable with. And yeah, I find it still very interesting to get education in domains that are really very new for me also, and that mm, and receive treatments from many different modalities.
What would you say is like the most recent, uh, maybe modern is not the right word, but the most recent kind of experience you've had with a newer or something that you hadn't contacted before, um, as far as receiving touch therapy?
Mm, that's hard to say. I don't know if it's so new because it's already like 20 years that I'm trying to understand the visceral work,
I
visceral
see.
osteopathic work, and now also moving into the other courses that Baral Institute is offering, working with the spine in a very sensitive way also. But I'm very, very fascinated about the Rolfing work also, because I discovered a very nice book also from a Rolfer.
Mhm.
He, maybe you know this,
Spinal manipulation made
yeah,
simple.
Jeffrey Maitland. He has written such a beautiful books about bodywork also, the spacious body. And he is a Rolfer. And
Yeah.
he talks very much from that perspective. I found it very fascinating.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from it. I don't understand everything from it, but that doesn't matter. So some things I can pick up from it, and it's really fascinating work.
Yeah. Well, it's some of these books by Rolfers that have been practicing, studying, and looking into things like physiology for a very long period of time. It's difficult to follow. I read a book called Dermoneuromodulating whenever I was in school, that was recommended by my teacher, Michael Pollan. And when I bought this book and then I got it out of the package and I started reading it and I was like, oh my, like 30% to 50% of it just right over my head.
Mm,
But there's definitely a lot of really interesting concepts that are inside that I think, even though I wasn't able to follow it 100%, uh, I was able to get a better idea of these ideas that they were working with. And yeah, it's one thing I think as I get older, I need to start getting myself to do more of, is looking into what other people are saying and try to educate myself more.
mm. Yeah, with the books lately, I discovered, because I like to have the physical book,
Mhm.
but when traveling, I have now such a Kindle. And I discovered, especially for the difficult books like Jean-Pierre Barral's book, the osteopathic books. It's
Mhm.
so much anatomy. But the advantage with the Kindle is that you have the dictionary. So you just push on
Yeah.
it and you have the dictionary. Because
Mm.
otherwise I have so much difficulty to follow all those terms. Same when I go to one of their courses.
Yeah.
Osteopaths, they have such knowledge about anatomy.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And I see it as a big advantage that they have so much knowledge. But after a few days, after a course of 4 or 5 days, I'm longing for more the energetic anatomy and
Yeah.
the yin and the yang and the 5 elements and so on.
Yeah. I'm typically a nuts and bolts kind of practitioner. I tend to whatever I can get my hands on, that's what I tend to focus on and
Mm.
study. I usually end up getting lost in the weeds when we start talking about meridians or different kinds of lines in the body. I struggle with the I don't want to use the term esoteric. Like I struggle with the intangible aspects of
Mm.
what makes a person a person. So I tend to just focus my study on the A and P. But I'm not an academic, so I need people like I mentioned my teacher Michael Pollan. I need people like him to uh basically translate the anatomy and physiology and dumb it down a couple of levels so that it's easier for the average person to communicate and understand it. But I think this comes back to community, right? The aspects of anatomy and physiology that I don't perfectly understand can be, bolstered by people who do understand, and working together we can really share a lot with each other through techniques, and perhaps there's a perspective that your knowledge of Eastern theory of energy and the less tangible aspects, uh, there's perhaps something that you can bring to the table and share because you have those things as part of your study and as part of your modalities.
Mm.
So I think there's, even if it's not something that I can necessarily wrap my head around completely, there's absolutely value in this form of study and in this practice as it leads you to helping people one way or the other.
Mm. No, I can assure you, I still don't understand meridians, so don't worry. So and
I
actually,
passed the meridian test and I passed the meridian test in the national board certification, but I couldn't tell you a single thing about
uh,
meridians now.
it took me many years to start to feel anything. So, and I see it over the years now. I see it as an advantage because I have been teaching shiatsu so much, and the last 30 years I have been teaching shiatsu, and I see it's not necessary to feel meridians or so. You just approximately apply pressure, and with doing it, you hone your skills. And over time, you just know if you're on the right spot or not. So, on the contrary, sometimes I have the experience with students who come to me and they say, "Oh yeah, I understand," and they already go to the next thing. Sometimes they don't stay with it. So,
Sure.
so maybe because I didn't understand anything about meridians, I just stayed with it. But I could see the effect and I could feel the effects on myself. But I'm okay. I still have a Western mind also, so I have also my doubts sometimes. What is this about meridians and so on? But before we
Yeah.
started the conversation, we talked a little bit about Tai Chi. And for me, that's a very important part of learning Shiatsu, because there you learn with your body what is yin and yang. Because when you do a movement who is towards you, it's like a yin movement. When you do a movement who is more external, there it's a yang movement. And also you have like your weight on one leg and your weight and less weight on another leg. So it's like all the time making balance. And for me, that's what is yin and yang. It's just opposites. And you can see it in very simple things in life. That if you go one direction, how do you say it? When you have a coin, you have both sides of the coin. And so it's always yin and yang. If we go in one direction, then balance comes, we have to go in another direction. It's true in everything, in society, in politics, in whatever. Sometimes things go in one direction, but then it becomes too extreme. And then it will have to change in another direction.
What is that? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's
invariable, there will be.
Yeah.
So that's also in our life. If we go too much in one thing, then, or we don't give attention to another thing, then it will call us in one way or the other.
Sure. Yeah. I think for everyday self-care, something like Tai Chi is interesting to me. It's something just to help you take care of yourself, to help you get inside yourself, to slow your mind down and bring yourself back into yourself. I heard very recently something that has kind of stuck with me, and it's that you know the concept of like an elephant and the rider, like an elephant rider is just this little tiny thing on top of this big elephant. I heard that compared to humans and our brains, like our body and our brains. Our brains are the elephant rider who is on this big, giant, unwieldy thing. And sometimes our bodies will listen to us, and sometimes our bodies will not listen to us. You know, ask any person who's woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning and there's chocolate cake in the refrigerator and they can't seem to stop themselves from finishing the chocolate cake. And when I'm thinking about self-care and getting inside ourselves, I'm thinking about, you know, getting off of the elephant and just kind of sitting down and having tea with it, sitting down and having a conversation with yourself, or trying to, you know, build up that connection from the body to the mind. And one of the first things I tell people when I tell them when they come in for a 10 series is that, you know, my number one goal is to improve your relationship with your body. Like that's what I really want to do, is I want to connect you with your body. And something that I do, as of course we mentioned before we were talking about Tai Chi and self-care, I just like to play in my body. I don't do anything structured or, you know, anything like Tai Chi, but I'll just kind of dance around by myself in the room.
Wonderful.
Or just do some random motions, some fluid movement, and just play around. And if I trip, or if I fall down, or if I do something silly, it's just me playing with myself and playing with my body, being free and kind of feeling like it's okay to do actions, to spend energy, to spend some of your calories on just goofing around and having fun with your body, because, you know, it's the only thing you ever really own.
Yeah, definitely. We only have our bodies, huh?
Yeah.
So, that's a challenge we see with more and more people who come and seek our help, is that the connection with the body is somehow more complicated. It's more difficult to feel the body, to feel the joy in the body, like you expressed with your movement. And so
we spend a lot of time on these, you know, a lot of people's brains right now, they might be working, but they're thinking about that TikTok post, or they're thinking about what they want to say something on Instagram, or they want to take a selfie. They have an image in their mind. think a lot of people are just living outside of themselves.
It's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for every one of us.
Sure.
But okay, we as body workers have the possibility someone lays down and for at least 1 hour or the time treatment takes, we are just occupied with our own position and how we relate to another body and helping that other body to reconnect. It's a way of communication, non-verbal communication. And I think very much the connection with the body, when you have this image of the elephant and the rider, I think the rider of the elephant need different languages also, especially if we as a body worker. And yeah, the body has different languages. It's different language for the connective tissue or the muscles or the bones or meridians. It's not one thing, huh?
Yeah, I'm really bad at learning languages, but
Yeah, but the
I'm
language
always
of the
trying to learn.
body.
Yeah, I was making a joke at the expense of my horrible Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry. Japanese is it's a big challenge.
Yeah, it's a hurdle. It's one of those things that, like, of course my son speaks mostly Japanese. He just turned 4 last month, and he comes home and he's just just you know how 4-year-olds are. They just open their mouths and they just keep talking and talking and talking. And I'm trying my best to just catch it, even though it's just like child's Japanese. So yeah, but whenever it comes to the body, we really, just like with learning a language, we have to take time to learn the language of our body. We have to take time to understand, hey, I feel really, really good after I finish stretching. And if I take 5 minutes to close my eyes, and even if I have thoughts running through my head, I take 5 minutes to close my eyes and think about my breathing. I think we need to give ourselves more. We need to give ourselves more time in the like in the modern era where we have all of these devices. Every single moment of your time is being bid on by devices, programs, apps, social media services, or work. You have a lot of people take their work everywhere with them now. So in order to learn those languages, in order to figure out how to communicate with yourself, to understand what your body wants and what it needs, we have to actually take that time to learn that language.
To come back to Rolfing, so one of the things that I learned from Rolfing is that you work with, and in the readings of Ida Rolf, she talks a lot about gravity and how we relate to gravity. So if I understand it right, that's a lot what you look at when someone moves or someone is standing.
Yeah, it's all relative to gravity. So when someone's walking or when someone's standing, we are considering how that line, gravity from the top of their head and how they're balanced on top of themselves, because gravity is always affecting our bodies. You always have the weight of yourself, and how you carry yourself is going to change over time. We say, like in Japanese, they have like the ebi no katachi, the shrimp position, where you have the little old ladies with the push carts bent over sideways. My grandfather had back problems, and the way he carried himself to protect from feeling the pain of the back problems and the effect of gravity very slowly saw him do this. And then he was walking around like this all the time. So yeah, gravity has a profound effect on everything in your body. One thing that's fascinating to me is to look at how somebody breathes, or how somebody walks, or how somebody stands, just asking somebody to stand still and looking at them. And then when they get off of the, we say we get out of gravity, when they lay down and they're outside of that standard gravity, gravity's pulling on them differently, and the way that their legs are positioned is slightly different. So we can get kind of different perspectives on how the body wants to be, or how the body's kind of compensating for different adaptations. Like you're walking and you're adapting to gravity, and you had an injury whenever you were a child, which has caused like your right foot wants to be out, wants to point laterally, and over time, that has a profound effect on the drama, the negotiation going on in your body. It's this whole wild dynamic thing, and I think it's so fascinating.
It's interesting. We talked about it when I came for treatment. I'm very much a cyclist, and I've been sitting on my bike since I'm very young for very long distances. So, and then being a body worker, I'm also with Shiatsu bent forward, and I work a lot with the computer these days, giving online courses. So yeah, definitely I need treatments, and I need exercise to straighten up, because with gravity, sitting on a bike is not ideal. You can imagine.
Yeah, most of us, of course, there are different schools in the world, but I think it's there's one in Germany, one in Sao Paulo in Brazil, and in Colorado. But if you're in the US, if you're in North America, you're going to Colorado to study Rolfing. And if you have ever been to Colorado, you know that like every other person is a cyclist. So that's one of the body patterns that we got really used to seeing. And one of my teachers, he was a cyclist as well. And we were practicing taking on other people's posture. It's a fun little thing we do when we're outside. We see somebody walking, you kind of walk behind them and then just copy the way that they walk. Or in the case in class, we had one teacher copy the other teacher's movements and posture, and describe as she was kind of folding in on herself the posture that he had due to being a cyclist, cycling every single day. And it was so interesting just to see. It becomes really obvious whenever you have somebody who usually stands or usually walks one way copy another person's walk. It's like, oh, I see that. It's it's just interesting to me.
What I find fascinating with being in another country, living in Japan, is also seeing how we are culturally influenced, how we hold our bodies.
Definitely.
It's fascinating to observe.
Yeah, my assistant teacher for my phase 2 enrolling was Japanese, Nobuko Muth, and she was lovely, just a delightful lady. But my client, who is now my partner, Shoko, Nobuko came over, and she was like kind of pointing out some of exactly what you're describing, the cultural difference in posture. And if you've ever been to Japan and you've seen people kind of interact with each other, you see a lot of bowing. There's a lot, even if it's just you're saying goodbye, you're bowing whenever you say goodbye, even if it's just a quick, like a dip of the head kind of thing. And one thing that my instructor pointed out about my partner's posture is that her chin wants to go down. Like it's like she's just waiting. She's just on deck, prepared to bow. And I thought that was really interesting. And when you brought it up, I immediately thought of that moment when Nobuko said, "Yeah, you see here, she's Japanese, so you can see that here in the chin, it wants to go down," which I thought was a really interesting thing to kind of point out.
It's fascinating how we are influenced by our culture. That's why I like to live in not in my own culture, because then I have the distance, and then I'm a guest in another country. So how is it for you to be a guest in Japan?
Yeah, I love it here. Having healthcare is pretty awesome. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I only have the United States to compare it to. So of course I love home. I left a lot of wonderful people who are I still talk to some of them every day. Um, I I think being here in Japan is when I came here, I looked at it as an opportunity. This was like moving here or moving to another country was the best way to expose myself to as many things as possible that could help me grow and help me change my perspective and help me understand the world and understand myself better. I thought, the worst thing I could do for myself would be to just sit in a bubble and not really go anywhere, not really explore anything, or not really expose myself to new things. So I guess that could be a maybe um a fundamental point about me is that I I want to be in a situation where I want to be in a place where I'm going to be exposed to new ideas, where I'm going to be exposed to new experiences and have an opportunity to grow from those. I am a homebody. I like to be at home. I like to be in my space. But at the same time, to counteract that tendency, I think I often like to put myself in these kind of situations, uh, going out and meeting people, even though I trend toward introvertedness, pushing myself to be uh, more extroverted in my encounters.
Hmm.
But yeah, wildly different culture here in Japan. Wildly different culture.
And how is it in the practice? You see many Japanese people?
I have a lot of Japanese clients.
Okay.
My experience includes the coronavirus pandemic
Yeah.
and living in a post-COVID touch therapy field. So, post COVID, it's not just the social distancing wasn't the only effect, the only impact of COVID and post COVID. Um, of course, we don't have to linger on this topic, but there's a lot of economic turmoil. There are a lot of people
Mm.
right now after inflation and all of the other effects, the rice shortage in Japan causing the price of Japanese rice to skyrocket. Um, there are a lot of economic issues, and I think when people are looking to cut things out of their budget or to lower the monthly expenses that they have, they often will look to things like touch therapy, and they'll say, well, maybe this month I won't go and get a massage. So it's been up and down. It's been a little chaotic. I work as a English teacher as well to kind of
Okay.
supplement. But
Mhm.
yeah, as far as the cultural difference, I like there is a big cultural divide between the United States where people don't shut up. Everybody expresses their opinions all of the time. And Japan, where people, for the most part, tend to want to blend in
Mm.
and just, kind of sync with other people. Um, I would say that when you boil it down to a one-on-one interaction, when you have another person in front of you and you're communicating with them directly, the culture, the differences of culture, I think kind of go out the window.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like,
true. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like
Mm.
when you really get down to it, most people want the same thing.
Mm.
And, you know, people who seek out a touch therapist, people who are actively trying to fix a problem or are proactive in that sense and are coming to you or coming to me, they're going to have a different they're going to have a different perspective. They're going to be more open, typically. They're going to communicate with us in a different way than if I just met somebody on the train, right? So I think those cultural differences kind of dissipate when we're one-on-one, when we see each other face to face, and when we talk about what we like, what we're interested in, about, you know, our experiences, our lives, and when we talk about our bodies.
And I think also Japanese people can, of course, I have never been a Japanese practitioner, but I think being a foreigner has an advantage that they don't need to keep up the same facade somehow. Same mask that you have two Japanese people together.
Sure. I like, my initial knee-jerk reaction to the term facade was like, ooh, yeah, I don't know if I want to say that. I don't know if I want to agree to that. But I like, when you said mask, that really resonated, because we're all wearing masks,
of course,
most of the time. It very rarely slips, but in Japan, just like in the United States and everywhere else, people are wearing their social mask to make sure that they don't bother other people, upset other people, etc. I don't know if you've ever had to get on the phone and make a conversation and have a conversation with somebody on the phone in Japanese, but there's a lot of "お世話になっております。はい." It's very like, it's like there is another level to the thickness of that mask. So yeah, absolutely. When you're one-on-one with somebody, the mask drops, and then you have a easier time connecting with the individual, rather than in a standard social situation.
So Remy, we are running out of time, but is there anything more you want to share, or that you think, okay, that can be interesting for body workers, because these conversations I make for body workers. So
yeah, I mean, if I'm going to say anything and I'm talking to body workers, I'd say your work is important, and your work is valid, and people need you, and we need each other. So help each other out. Make sure, if you haven't talked to another practitioner in a while, pick up your phone and send a message. Say, hey, how are you doing? I'd love to get together and compare notes. Do swap sessions, talk to people in the community, build up those connections, and be supportive of each other. We're all going through it these days. We live in a society. We are here. We're all alive. Let's help each other out, and let's support each other.
Yeah, it's a wild ride these days.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Remy. It was very, very nice to connect again, and thank you for this advice.
Of course, it's my pleasure. It's always delightful to chat with you, Felipe. You mentioned it earlier. I'm just going to throw it out again. You can find me at myrelief-bodywork.com. And I'm going to give my Instagram, which I almost never use, but I'm going to give my Instagram to Felipe and the link to that website there, if you want to find me and book a session.
So I will put a link to your homepage also. So, thank you so much. Take care.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. You as well. Bye-bye.